She vanished by the ocean, but every night her shadow still walks the shore, calling his name. If you love mysterious and horror stories, then make sure to subscribe to the channel. Tell me in the comments what kind of stories you enjoy the most. Like this video and share it with your friends. Now, let's move to the story, a story you'll never forget. The ocean never forgot his footsteps. It carried them back every morning with the tide, like whispers calling him home. He waited by the same rock where her laughter once danced in the wind, where her shadow had fallen soft across the sand, like a promise. He never stopped hearing. People said time heals, but time only learned to walk beside him. Quiet and cruel. He came every day, coffee in hand, hoodie pulled tight, waves crashing like thunder behind him, gulls screaming over the salt air. Somewhere in that endless blue, he still saw her. The girl who used to paint sunsets with her fingers in the wet sand. The one who said, "The ocean always keeps secrets if you listen long enough." She vanished on a fog-heavy evening, the kind that makes you forget where the sky ends and the water begins. He never saw her again, only her shadow fading into the mist. Every evening he waits, phone off, shoes off, staring out like the tide might answer. The same playlist on repeat, songs she loved, old country ones, slow and aching. Locals know him now, the quiet man by the water, the one who never looks away from the horizon. Sometimes tourists take pictures, thinking he's part of the scene, a story framed against the dying light. One night, a storm rolled in, black and hard, lightning tearing open the sky. He didn't move. Waves hit the rocks, spraying salt across his face. Thunder echoing like her voice calling his name. He thought he saw her then, just a flicker, a shape moving where the water met the dark. His heart caught between breath and memory, her shadow drifting over the foam, soft, unreal, like a dream coming back to life. He took a step closer, sand sinking beneath his feet, the wind whispering something he couldn't quite hear. And then, the wind grew colder, pulling at his sleeves, the ocean roaring louder as if it wanted to speak to him. He could see her shape clearer now, hair floating like seaweed, eyes glimmering with the reflection of lightning. He tried to call her name, but the sound broke in his throat. The storm swallowed his voice. He took another step, water rising to his knees, his heartbeat lost inside the sound of the waves. He reached out, hand trembling. Her shadow drifted closer, then stopped, just beyond reach. For a moment, everything went quiet, the kind of quiet that hums inside your chest, the world holding its breath. The rain softened, the tide slowed, and he saw her smile. The same small, soft curve that used to undo him every time. She mouthed something, words he couldn't hear, but somehow understood. Don't wait anymore. And before he could move, before he could breathe, the shadow turned. The waves lifted, and she was gone, swallowed back into the dark. He stood there, eyes fixed on the horizon, cold water circling his legs, his hands open, empty. The sky cracked again with light, and in that flash, he saw it, carved in the sand where he always stood. A heart, two initials, and a single word. Still there, after all the storms. He fell to his knees, tracing it with shaking fingers, the ocean rushing over, washing the lines softer and softer, until they were almost gone. He closed his eyes. The wind brushed his hair like her hand used to do, and for the first time in years, he whispered something small and broken into the night. And then, the ocean answered back, a low hum rolling through the shore like a heartbeat. He opened his eyes and saw the sky clearing, the storm slipping away into the distance, the moon breaking free from the clouds, silver light spilling across the sand. He sat there, drenched and trembling, his breath slow, his eyes heavy. But he didn't leave. The water shimmered, soft and calm now, and somewhere between the waves he thought he saw her shadow again, smaller, quieter this time, like a memory returning home. He reached out, but stayed still, afraid that moving would break the spell. The wind carried the scent of salt and her perfume, that faint lavender she always wore. He could almost feel her sitting beside him, quiet like before, watching the tide fade in and out. She used to say, the ocean keeps every promise, it just takes time to return them. His chest ached, but softer now, not sharp like it used to be. He whispered her name again, the sound lost in the foam. The stars stretched above, endless and cold, and he knew she was somewhere in them, or in the water, or maybe still here, waiting like him. A soft ripple moved near the rock where she vanished years ago, a light, faint blue, glowing beneath the surface. He stared, frozen, not sure if it was real, not sure if he wanted it to be. He stood slowly, heart pounding, the glow pulsing brighter, waves lifting around his legs. A voice so faint it could have been wind or memory called his name one more time. And then he turned toward the sound, breath catching in his chest. The glow spread wider, rippling through the water like veins of light stretching toward him. He stepped forward, the cold biting into his skin, but he didn't stop. His eyes locked on the shimmer. It moved like it knew him, like it had been waiting too. His reflection blurred against the glow, and for a heartbeat he saw her face inside it, clear as dawn. Her eyes shining, her lips moving, but the waves kept stealing the words. He tried to reach again, fingers trembling over the surface. The light flickered, soft and wild, like it was alive. The ocean pulled harder, dragging the sand from under his feet. He staggered, but didn't let go. He whispered her name over and over, like a prayer, like a key trying to open a door that no longer existed. The glow surged brighter, wrapping around him. The sound of the wind vanished, the sound of the waves vanished. Everything quiet except for the low hum in his ears, the same hum she used to make when she fell asleep beside him. His heart thudded heavy. He could feel it echo through the water. The light moved closer, until it brushed against his hand, warm and soft, and then it started to fade, pulling back, sinking deeper into the sea, leaving trails of blue that disappeared one by one. He stood there, shaking, watching the last of it vanish into the dark, the world silent again, the moonlight silvering his face, the tide reaching higher, washing over his knees, his hands empty, his heartbeat slowing as the ocean whispered one last sound, so faint it felt like breath against his skin. And then he sank slowly to the sand, water curling around his legs, eyes fixed on the horizon, the moon floating high like a memory he could never touch. The beach was empty, except for him and the whisper of the tide. The world felt paused between one breath and the next. He looked down at his hand, still wet from where the light had touched him, the faintest shimmer still glowing against his skin, like it had left something behind, something alive. He rubbed his fingers together, but it didn't fade. It pulsed once, softly, like a heartbeat, answering his own. The wind rose, gentle now, carrying pieces of her voice through the night. Not words, just a feeling, warm and familiar, like a goodbye wrapped in love. He closed his eyes and listened, letting it settle deep inside him. the ache in his chest easing just enough to breathe. He stayed there until the first color of morning touched the water, thin streaks of gold spreading across the waves, the same color she loved when she used to paint the horizon. He whispered her name one last time, almost smiling as he said it. The shimmer on his hand caught the new light, glowing brighter for a moment, then fading slow into nothing. The ocean calm again, the sky wide and endless. He stood barefoot in the cold sand, heart heavy and quiet, staring at the place where light and water met, as if waiting for the tide to speak once more. And then he took a slow step toward the water, the sand sinking under his weight, the ocean soft and silent, like it was holding its breath. The sky stretched open above him, pale and endless. He could feel the chill on his skin, but it didn't matter. He kept walking until the waves kissed his knees, the light from the rising sun spilling gold across the surface. He stood there watching the water shift, the tide moving in gentle rhythm, each wave like a memory brushing against him. He thought about the nights they spent right here, talking about forever, about what it meant to stay, even when everything changes. She used to say, "Love doesn't disappear, it just changes shape." He closed his eyes and felt it all come back, the laughter, the quiet moments, the scent of her hair, the warmth of her hand in his, the world spinning slower when she was near. He breathed deep, and the air tasted like salt and rain and her. A small shell washed up beside his foot, white and smooth. He bent down, picked it up, and held it tight. The wind brushed his face, like fingers tracing the edge of his jaw. The tide hummed low and steady, and for a second he could almost hear her voice whisper close to his ear, telling him to go home. He looked up at the horizon one last time, the light brighter now, the sky bluer, the day waking all around him. He turned slowly, water dripping from his jeans, footsteps deep in the wet sand behind him, each one filled by the tide as he walked away, until only the sound of the ocean remained. And then
He walked along the shore, the sun climbing higher, the warmth touching his face, the waves whispering behind him like a soft goodbye. The town in the distance waking to a new day, seagulls circling above, the air filled with the scent of salt, and life moving forward. He stopped once more and turned back, the ocean stretching endless, the same and yet different. He smiled, a quiet, small smile, the kind that comes after too many storms. He whispered her name under his breath, not in sorrow, but in peace. The wind carried it away, across the water, where the light shimmered like her laughter once did. He slipped the shell into his pocket, a small piece of her, a small piece of the sea, and began walking toward the road, his footsteps fading into the sand. The sky burned gold, and the waves rolled gentle, as if the ocean finally kept its promise, and somewhere in the sound of the tide, her shadow moved with the light. Not gone, just home.